Norris, you are CEO and founder of Monese. Monese is, well, it started in the UK, you're now in 31 countries across Europe. One of the most popular and trusted banking services. Incredible statistics. And to think you launched in 2015, you've now got 100,000 customers signing up per month. I'd love to know about the inspiration. Where did this come from? Because you've grown so quickly.
Well, it didn't come as a spark. Hi everyone, I'm Norris. So it didn't come as a random spark. Actually, it was very much my own personal pain that prompted me to create Monese. So I moved to London many years ago, and I'm not British clearly, and I couldn't open a simple bank account. So for me, this was very not insulting and annoying at the same time, because I came from a country that was digitally incredibly advanced. Banking was top notch. I could do, it was back in 2000, so mobile banking didn't really exist, but internet banking did, and I could make international transfers very quickly and so on. Came to the UK and couldn't even open a bank account. So, and I kind of left it at that. I got the bank account a few months later, but I had to sort of go around the system a little bit. So I had to actually ask one of my friends to borrow his bank account so I could get my salary in, which was a bit weird. So anyway, so that one thing actually led me to many years later to a point where I had been an entrepreneur. I built businesses in consumer lending in the UK. I also built a technology business that basically provided CRM systems for lenders in the UK. And then having this experience in lending, and also seeing lots of misery that people are experiencing when they have no credit history, for example, or if the credit history is broken and so on. Having sold my tech business, I started looking around for new challenges, and I also wanted to do something meaningful, to be honest, because having been doing this and that a little bit, made a little bit of money, not enough, to retire, but live a year or two in sort of a comfortably. Restless as I am, I wanted to do something meaningful and something that would blow my own mind in a big way. And I remembered my pain about the bank accounts, the issues. I started looking around, sort of Googling a lot, and I bumped into a couple of researches. And one of these researches was actually created by MasterCard, and it was about financial inclusion and how in Europe you will have about 138 million people who are financially underserved and have very difficult access to mainstream banking services. And there was a couple of other researches, and my own thinking as well is, for example, why on earth can't I, coming from another EU country, open a simple bank account? What's a blocker? So I came to a conclusion that, for example, if I don't have credit history in a new country, so because banks want to make money, they want to lend me money. If I don't have history, this means that no score, no lending products, no bank account. So that was a huge blocker. And I thought, what if we take this blocker away and only focus on making things possible by identifying customers, making sure that we know as a financial institution enough about customers' background, so we can actually onboard and give access to the financial system and let this person bring the salary in and so on. So basically, once I understood that this is actually possible, regulators, governments are actually behind this, and the pain is so big that that prompted MasterCard to write this research. That was an aha moment for me, and that was in 2013. And so, sorry, stop me if I get carried away here a little bit. But, so we basically started thinking pretty big. So we wanted to create a business that was truly global, truly inclusive. So anyone from anywhere could have access to financial services in a heartbeat on a mobile phone, go through the onboarding in a couple of minutes' time, and basically be free. Go anywhere, do what you want. I mean, leaving the sort of a migration and visas, all these things aside, but financial services should be as easy to access as like clean water, access to clean water and air or something. That's what I think about financial services. And we realized that in order to actually pull it off, you need to change a lot and innovate a lot. So we first 2 years we built technology that would enable international KYC. which stands for Know Your Customer checks, which is basically a mandatory set of checks, customer identity and anti-money laundering and sanction checks that every financial institution, all the banks in the world need to do in order to prevent bad stuff from happening. So spent 2 years, figure it out, actually using a lot of technology, machine learning and so on. We found it's actually possible. And then we launched in 2015 with a team of 12 people, I think. And we launched in the UK, and we became the very first current account, mobile-only current account to ever launch in the UK. There were other players who were launching in the same year, but none of them had current accounts. They were prepaid cards and so on. So, whilst I can't say that we launched the first mobile-only bank in the UK, I can say we launched the first current account. And initially, it was just basically current accounts that you can open on your mobile device in a couple of minutes. Literally what you needed as a customer was, well, basically your identity card or a passport and your mobile phone, and you could just download the app even if you were in Germany, sitting in your, in your kitchen or something. You can just use your mobile phone, go through the onboarding in a couple of minutes, done. Initially it was just a card, accounts and international remittance. And we then expanded a year or so later into wider Europe as well. So we are now in 31 countries, and we are now working on sort of expanding the product set and so on and so on and so on.
Look, I think it's incredible, and I'm sure other people in this room will relate to your original inspiration. And certainly I had the experience myself. I lived in London for the better part of a decade, and had that exact experience. I remember the pain of struggling to open a bank account. So I love this video. Do you want to press play on this video?
This is new stuff. So we just interviewed a couple of our customers. These are real customers. No, we didn't pay them. So check it out. But this is professional produced, unlike most of the stuff that we have done before, because we didn't have any money before. So how do we make this work? Yes, doesn't work.
You need to click on the laptop maybe.
Yeah.
There we go.
My name is Ivan Stefu. From the moment when I got Monese card, it's like doors open. Got job because of this. I was free. I got freedom. Thank you, Monese, for what you've done for me.
I came from Brazil and I didn't have my bank account for over a month. Monese was the complete opposite, and I was mesmerized by how not complicated it was. I feel free to be whoever I want, wherever I want.
My name is George. I am from Greece, Athens. As a frequent traveler, I find Monese very convenient that I have both pounds and euros. I can just use my card the same way I would do it in the UK. Yeah, it's freedom.
I mean, that's such a powerful word.
That's us.
That's such a powerful word, freedom. Be free. It really is. And it's wonderful to see some of your consumers there sharing, the features that they benefit from. How do you see the key things that consumers are looking for? Obviously, in a rapidly changing world, what are the key things consumers are looking for from banking services?
I think as a world is becoming more and more mobile, people are looking for speed and frictionless experience, and something that actually works with them and helps them, as opposed to blocking them. Because what we're still seeing in the world of banking, I still find it weird that sometimes it's easier and quicker to actually fly with the bag of cash to India and deliver money that way than sending it through a banking system, which is quite bizarre. So I think people are really looking for a frictionless experience, and obviously they don't want to pay top dollar as well. So that's what we are seeing at the moment, and this, I think, it's very clear that the world is moving in that direction at the moment. There are many startups, including us, working on reducing friction.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because some of the contender banks have the names have been batted around this room a little bit today, and there is a bit of a buzz around, be it Revolut, N26, and obviously Monese. What's your sort of USP? What's your differentiator?
I get this a lot, and I think when we all started, the year was 2015. It was the same year actually that we started, which is quite interesting. So it kind of indicates that many people started thinking about ideas, a year or two in advance, almost in isolation, but they all came to launches in 2015. So what's our USP? So many people ask, and when I look and compare Moniz, which is very much a global business that we're building here, we're already in 31 countries. So that kind of kills comparisons when you look at some very domestic digital challenger banks. Not going to name any names here. So when you look at those who are truly international, it actually leaves only maybe one or two more. And when you look at how these companies execute and how they are promoting the services to the customers, it is very clear that majority of these players are actually going after customers who are already very well banked, and customers who just want a little bit more, let's say, digital experience or cheaper service or something like that. But they're not actually solving any real problems. And we feel that we are solving a real problem, which starts from the access to the banking services. So if you're international, if you're one of those from borderless generation, you go to a new country, the last thing you want is to, start opening a new account in an old bank. You would rather download one of these apps like ours or competitors and get going. But the tricky part is that you can't actually get those competitive products if you are a foreigner sometimes. And it gets especially tricky if you go to another country and you find out that the product actually doesn't work that well because it doesn't maybe have an account number, or there's some complication with, you actually have to close down your other account with the same company in another country. So little things like this start playing, and this is where our USP really stands strong. So first of all, truly international approach. The idea is that if you go to another country, the service will automatically configure around you and will treat you as like home in a new country. So you have an account, you have cards and all that stuff. And we are also positioning ourselves as your home banking service, which means that we talk to you in your own language. So we have 12 languages that we support currently, and not just some chat that you lose your phone, you're kind of on your own. You can pick up a phone, you can call us, we pick up in your own language. And also we are, because of our unique focus on borderless generation and non-native language speakers, we have secured our position as a salary service. So basically, majority of our customers, that's over 70%, are bringing their salaries to us. And we, I think this is the strongest number in the neobanking space at the moment. So these are the main differences, I think. But it's not immediately clear. If you just look at the website or something, you have to actually experience it, and then it becomes really, really clear.
So I think it's fascinating listening to you, and I'm sort of thinking back to some of the things Ken and Amy spoke about earlier. And when we partner with fintechs, we look for alignment of values. And hearing you talk about solving real problems, and obviously Ken talked about painkillers, not vitamins earlier. Hearing your focus on financial inclusion, it really shows that there is that sort of alignment in values, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, we are very, very much aligned, for example, with MasterCard. So as I mentioned, this research, that was, for me, this was a big aha moment back in the day. But right now, working with MasterCard team on sort of a daily and weekly basis, it's very clear. We also have, for example, a small company called PayPal, who recently invested in us, and also what's very clear why they chose us and why we chose them, but was also the same thing, the alignment of values, because PayPal very much wants to make finance accessible globally for everyone, and this is where we come in, and it's a perfect alignment. And the way we operate also is that I didn't mention was that. How do you build a truly global company? Do you go to 200 countries and apply for a bank license and wait 200 years? It's not the right way. So we found that in order to actually pull off this global aspect, it makes sense to not become a bank for as long as you possibly can. So we're trying to basically, in some countries, apply for various type of licenses. In some countries, we partner with other players such as banks and so on. So basically secret sauce is that how do you put this all together in a seamless way that you remove all the friction and complexity away from a customer. We take care of all this complexity and spaghetti system downstairs and give customer a clean, neat experience. And the only way you can do it, you have to work with lots of partners. And how you pick your partners is where your values align and everyone is trying to achieve the same thing. And bizarrely enough, those banks who I just mentioned are sometimes pretty old school and so on. Things are changing really, really rapidly, because when we started years ago, no one would pick up my phone call. It was very hard to be heard. But right now that industry is changing, and us and other startups also are sort of becoming more known. I mean, I find more often than not that actually banks are chasing us now. So the partnership angle is actually becoming much easier these days.
It's incredible. So incredible success in really a very short time period. And as you say, banks are chasing you now. So what's next? What's next for Monese?
So for us, I mean, we try to do multiple things. So apart from the global aspect and going to different countries. So for example, we are launching in 6 new countries in the next 12 months or so, outside Europe. What we also want to do is that we do realize that customers need a bit more than just an account and a debit card. They need access to credit, for example, saving products and all that. So the idea is to provide all these services within a single app, single platform, and not sell customers just our own stuff, but partner with other companies and who think the same way, and provide customers more choice in a single interface. That's one thing. There are other really big problems that many companies are looking at things such as credit, and making credit much more inclusive and accessible. But right now we haven't really seen much progress. So what we want to do, one of the big things in our agenda, is also credit, and I believe that we can pull it off, because right now, if you look at our position as salary account, we do see lots of transactional information. So customers who use our services on daily basis, we get tens and hundreds of transactions each month, and we know where customers spend, how much they earn, and so on. So we actually can start making some decisions about their credit worthiness and affordability and so on pretty early on, without any external information, without actually talking to credit reference agencies and so on. But what if we take that data as well, our own data, and maybe we take some data from elsewhere as well? Maybe if we go back to customers' home country and take some credit data, we can do pretty cool stuff. So I think credit and saving and these products are something that we are going to be launching pretty soon as well. It's in works pretty much right now.
Incredible, and congratulations. I'm going to open the floor in a minute. Just before I do, a couple more questions. One, I mean, look, I think I'm in a very great position here that I get to chat to an innovator and a thought leader like you, and so I'd love to get your macro view, taking off your Monese hat. What do you see as the future for fintech?
So it's an interesting one, because when lots of fintech started launching in around sort of I think I was doing fintech way before the word came around. I didn't realize it was fintech at the time, but I think I first heard the word fintech in 2012 or 13 or something like that. And then was just one fintech I could recall, which was Simple.com in the US, who got acquired by BBVA. And this whole fintech innovation and revolution, so to speak, started, and there was lots of noise, in media as well. People were just thinking, oh, these fintech guys are gonna come and kill all the banks, and it's gonna be awful. And then I think banks initially didn't believe it, and then started really worry about it. You could see, you go to conferences and you don't see startups anymore. It was all banks. Everyone was really focused on this. But then I think something happened, and banks realized that actually maybe this revolution and all this is going to take a little bit longer. But I think it does take a long time. But what is also very clear is that shook up the industry so much that banks, as I said earlier, are much more open and also to collaboration. And what also has prompted this innovation and revolution is that banks now need to go deep, look into their core and see what they have to phase out. They have to innovate as well, because customers' experience is on a super high level at the moment. Because fintechs like us, we set expectations, and if banks don't follow, well, customers vote with their feet. So I think good things are happening, and if you are a customer right now, and in 5 years' time also, I think it has never been a better time to be alive banking service consumer, because things are getting incredibly fast, incredibly seamless, frictionless, cheap, and everyone has to innovate. And if you don't innovate, if you don't sort of perform, and that includes us and big banks as well, then you simply, well, go away. I think future is bright, and whoever says that also fintechs are going to die and go bust and so on, I don't think they are right either. I think some will, some don't, but good companies will prevail.
Well, thank you so much, Norris. And I always like to finish on a fun question. So my fun question is, Netflix or podcasts? What are you listening to or watching right now?
I don't have time to watch TV normally, but I have my sacred moment. I have my Friday evening, and then I look at. I recently finished Chernobyl, which was fantastic. I think absolutely incredible piece of work. And in terms of podcast, it was a long time ago, but I read books. So one of the favorite ones was Blitzscaling that I really liked, which was basically how a company, when they go into blitzscaling mode, how everything changes and how sometimes it's okay to do some crazy stuff that you wouldn't normally do. And that was a book about that. So it's pretty interesting. So we are basically taking few elements from that book at the moment when we're scaling.
Amazing. I should be adding that to my Audible account. So with that, does anybody have any questions?
You have said that you are not a bank, you don't have like a banking license, and you work with different situations in different countries. I don't know if you could explain more how are you working exactly.
Yeah.
And besides, I don't have clear the point of what is your business model and how you earn money, because it's very nice inclusion or something, but I don't know if your stakeholders are so happy
sure.
with.
Let me show you very quickly some of these slides as well. As you mentioned, Sarah, 1.2 million people have signed up, 300 employees, and over 100 million raised. There are a couple of screenshots also that I wanted to show. So, for example, PayPal. We recently integrated PayPal into our service. So you, alongside of your UK account, the European account, you can have PayPal account inside the interface. The same with, for example, a very popular service in the UK is Avios, and I will answer your direct question as well. And so basically what I'm trying to show you is that what you get inside the app once you're a customer, you onboard for free, we don't ask you any money. You get a free debit card, and you can open an unlimited amount of accounts. UK accounts, business accounts, European accounts, PayPal accounts, Avios accounts. And so it kind of starts coming together as a one financial ecosystem where you, a customer, are in charge of everything that goes on financially in your life. And what we charge for it, we have basically a very simple charging model. So there is a free pricing package where you don't pay anything until...
I don't understand who gives you the number of the account. Are you working with a bank? Because if you're not a bank, you can't take deposits.
So what we do in order to operate is we are working in a regulated environment, which means that there must be a license somewhere. It's a regulated service where customer money is, that we are holding customer funds at partner banks. So for example, in the UK, our partner bank is Barclays Bank. And Barclays Bank, we have safeguarded accounts, so customers' money is always safe. So, for example, if you are let's say, Barclays Bank customer or some other bank customer, typically customer funds are protected up to, let's say, 100,000 euros in Europe or 85,000 pounds in the UK. But the way we operate is that all the customer money is actually safe. We can't play around with it. We can't reinvest it, nothing. So it's 100% safe in a segregated and safeguarded account. And we have these partnerships, bank partnerships in Europe as well. But in terms of who issues account numbers and cards, then it becomes a little bit more complicated. So it's not one place, but it's many different suppliers. So as I said, we put this spaghetti together underneath so customers don't need to worry about it. And for them, Monese is ultimately the only brand that they are interacting with. But in the background, it gets a little bit more complicated. But customers' money is always, we're managing this money in a regulated way. it's always safe. I would even say safer than in many banks. And to answer your price, you asked about price as well. How do we make money?
How do you make money? Yeah.
So we try to simplify. I mean, this is incredibly complicated, and you know, if we put this pricing complexity in front of a customer, no one would join our business. No one would become our customer. So we have to simplify. So we have 3 simple packages. First is it's a free one. You get a free card, and there are certain allowance. For example, you can take money up until like 200 pounds a month. You can take money out from the ATM for free, or you can send 2,000 pounds or euros worth of money anywhere on the planet. Then second one is you pay 4.95 euros or pounds. Allowance are going up. And then there is 40.95, which is basically unlimited package. You do what you want anywhere on the planet, no other charges.
Okay, so you make money with the fees that you...
Yes, basically, yeah, like this. A couple of screens as well. So what do we have inside the product? So for example, we recently introduced Apple Pay. We are the largest Apple Pay supporter at the moment in the whole world, so 29 countries. We recently introduced business accounts as well, so you can manage your private funds and also your small business funds within a single app. We recently introduced Marketplace as well, so this is sort of getting one step closer to the dream here, which is that customer has many different opportunities within the app that they can choose, whether it's insurance or savings or credit and so on, and savings accounts as well. And the usual, what customers are now expecting from neobanks or fintechs is obviously better money management and sort of a proactive approach to really help customers to understand where the money is and so on. Sorry, it was very long.
Great question, great answer. Any other questions?
Hi, Gergely Büttner from Hungary. So your service is perfect for a live situation, and I'm sure you follow your clients. Are they really in these kind of live situations, so different location and different nations, or other people can also use your service? And back to the previous question, are you profitable now, or what is your plan to be profitable?
Yeah. So our customers typically tend to be people who are either moving to a new country or who have, for example, families abroad and so on. We just make moving money around, even the remittance, international money remittance, make it incredibly cheap or most cases even free. So anyone who has any international, family members or they travel a lot and so on, this is we are for these people, and we speak in their language typically as well. When it's sorry, what was the second part of the question? Profitability. Yeah. So we're not yet profitable as a business as a whole, but per each customer we are making money. So we have profitable unit economics, and we have had for years profitable unit economics. But because we are scaling so fast, so right now I could become we would be able to become a profitable business if we just stop growing, which we don't want to do. So this is a pretty great place where to be, because if you need to raise money, additional funding from investors and so on, we just show them that we add money and the growth will follow, and this becomes actually a profitable business pretty quickly. In terms of actual overall profitability, I think it's going to take another sort of a year or two, and this whilst we are still growing incredibly quickly, we can still become profitable with all this hyper growth at the same time.
One last question. So, yeah.
Hi, Victor Jorge from Portugal. Ken Moore started his presentation with the Nike, for example, and the personalization of solutions and products. How do you personalize your solution to the customer in several countries?
I'm glad that you asked. So the idea basically is that we try to build a very local feeling experience wherever you are. So let's say here we are today, let's say in the UK, you get a set of experience. Let's say the lending services and whatnot are very sort of UK focused. But let's say you then decide let's say you are, I don't know, German speaker, you can consume everything in that language as well. Let's say you go to France, and the moment app realizes that you're in France, it will enable you to completely reconfigure with a single touch of a button. Everything reconfigures, and voila, you have a French product then. And then you go to another place and then reconfigure. So that kind of a sort of a deep localization is something that we have very close to our hearts. And this is, I believe, one of the strengths that the product currently has. Because majority of other players you would find are very focused on a single market, or the app experience or bank experience is very, you know, either it's very UK focused or Germany focused, but everything else is kind of less.
Or language focused.
Yes, yeah. So that's what we want to do. It's not 100% there yet. I mean, we only support 12 languages at the moment and 31 countries, but that's what we are focusing on and working on.
So, great question. Sounds like Moniz likes the personal touch, and on that note, you have a personal touch here. You have something for everybody here. Do you want to talk about that?
I mean, this is something cool. So this is new thing. Nobody has that, so don't tell anyone. But for example, these are the new cards that have no name written on it, but it's a real card inside. So I'll give a card for every one of you. You open it and you download the app. You connect it to the app, and you are fully banked in a couple of minutes. So check it out. Check it out. Good one. Maybe.
You have to download it. A lottery.
So basically, it's pretty cool. Imagine you fly over to France, you pick up one of those in somewhere, like a SIM card, and before you collect your luggage, done, you're in. That's the plan.
Incredible. I wish I had one of those when I first moved to
Me
London
too.
and was trying to prove why I deserved a bank account. So thank you so much. It's been fascinating talking to you. I think now splitting into two, is that right, Lauren? Or is there to go to the interviews or?
Yeah, so if everyone just stays in this room, we're going to get cracking with the demos, and then we'll be pulling you all out for interviews, those that have said that you'd like something.
Thank you.